What's up, y'all? It's your girl KK Pie back with yet another video. Today we're here for episode 2 of the Pay It Forward
Pay It Forward
podcast.
podcast.
What's up, y'all? Today we have a real exciting topic. I'm excited to get into it. We're gonna be talking about how does AI relate to wellness and my experience and journey with AI so far. So yeah, let's get into it.
What's happening, y'all? So we're about to talk about AI with Miss KK Pie. If y'all got any questions, be sure to comment below. Sign up to our email list. Website coming soon. Make sure you like, subscribe, and comment.
Yep. And as always, y'all know we got Ras Kara, the check guy behind the camera, asking questions and doing what he do best.
Check out checking in. Let's go. So Miss Caitlin, in reference to AI, how do you feel about AI overall? As far as what it means to you and
I would say so. That's kind of a layered question. AI to me is like a double-edged sword, right? I think it has a lot of pros, but it also has a lot of cons in a sense that it can be very helpful. I found it helpful in my personal life as well as my professional life, which I'm going to get more into. But at the same time, I think it's something that is a tool, right? It's a tool to help guide us forward. It's a tool to help us navigate um, even like day-to-day challenges, day-to-day life, understanding things around us, essentially like the internet. You know what I'm saying? You go, you can do research, you can learn new things. But and here's my hard but, like I say with everything, AI is something you have to take with a grain of salt, meaning that you cannot let AI override your natural discernment and processing ability with your brain.
okay, that's a lot right there. So let's go ahead and unpack that. So first, let's talk about how you use AI in your personal life, and let's talk about pros first, how it benefits you, and then after that, we're gonna get into the cons and what people need to worry about using AI for their personal life.
Okay. I would say in my personal life, I use AI in a way that is like a consultant essentially, right? I don't let AI replace my own thinking and my own thought. Instead, I use it as a means of researching. So whether those topics are surrounding like things towards, my personal curiosity. Sometimes I get a thought and instead of going to Google search, I go to different AI platforms and search for information there. As well as things surrounding health and wellness, right? So with the pay it forward, again, not just conversations around random topics, but conversations around topics that I actually want to learn more about to expand on my knowledge and to share. With that, though, like I said, it takes a level of understanding that AI has an agenda of its own, right? Just like everything else has an agenda, all of the programming that we tune into, TV shows, the media, all these different things, AI to me falls under that category as well. It stems from man's logic, and even though it's foreign and it looks different, you have to remember that it is not God and it is not original thoughts on AI.
Okay, that's a lot right there about the AI personal use. So you said that you use it basically to search things that you're curious about. So basically,
Hmm.
you just use it personally as a search engine, a replacement for Google.
Right, essentially.
So what's AI's agenda? You say AI got its own agenda. What is AI's agenda?
Now, look, y'all, when it comes to like the technical side of things, I might not know like the specifics of how AI was derived or some of the technological and technical details behind it. But what I can say is that the more you use it, the more you'll understand what I mean. Meaning, AI, just like a lot of the different things that we consume this day and age, is a form of programming. And what I mean by that is that it has parameters and limitations because again it comes from the design of a human being, and so I'm sure that it has access to all types of databases, information, and things like that, but it still, when the information is presented to you, has to follow certain guidelines. It feeds certain narratives, as far as history goes, as far as politics goes, as far as social norms go. I do feel like a lot of these different platforms will, try and be unbiased in certain ways, but I think that it's important to know again that it's not necessarily derived from original thoughts so that you can not let it replace your own original thoughts, your own logic, and your own processing.
So give me an example. So let's say you're curious about underwater scuba diving and
Mhm.
you search AI. Now, are you going to take everything that AI gives you about underwater scuba diving on face value, or do you feel like AI could be accurate at times, or how do you discern against the information that you search?
So for something straightforward like that, I think it's pretty safe to go to AI just to ask generic questions about scuba diving, about ways that it's conducted, maybe the best places to scuba dive or learn how to scuba dive. But when it comes to more complex, I would say topics, more so topics that might cross over into conspiracy theories. Because when you said that, it kind of reminded me of how recently there's this man that said these underwater dolphins taught him how to build things underwater. It's like been all over social media, all in the media. I'm somebody who I don't automatically be like, oh, that conspiracy theory is not real because we've been proven time over time again as the government exposes files and information, even though you gotta take all that, you know what I'm saying, that's all over the place too. But like when it comes to aliens and I would say paranormal activity and things like that, I think that AI can be a bit limited and it's not even understanding of those topics, but in the way that it outputs information. And that ties into like protections against the organizations and companies that run these platforms as well. So that is kind of like the parameters and limitations that I'm talking to, as well as like even when it comes to controversial topics, just totally not given that room to even be plausible. AI might tell you like, oh, that's not logically possible because so and so or whatever. When really, who knows if that man was really taught by dolphins? And I mean, there's evidence kind of piling up that there may be some relevance and truth to what this man is saying. So, you know,
They found 44 dolphins dead up
they
on
did.
the beach after that happened. Like dolphin gang, like, hold on, you gonna bring them down here and expose the whole team and just discipline the other 44 dolphins because they probably weren't supposed to be kidnapping humans. And they
Right.
kidnapped, now they got their justice, they got their issue. So basically, you saying that just like any other thing in our society, because you know black people used to this since slavery and civil rights, they're going to keep their agendas.
Mm.
So no matter if you talk about anything that already has an agenda that's being protected in the media, AI is going to also protect those same agendas. What you're saying?
Right.
Okay.
The politics of it all.
So what about the information being accurate all the time? Is the information always accurate all the time?
I
As
will
long as
argue.
you don't touch on any conspiracy
I will
subjects.
argue that it's not honestly like, especially kind of transition from my personal use to my more professional use of things. I think that AI it exposes you to a lot of different information and is connected to a lot of different information in whatever technological way that that's set up. Kind of similar to Google, right? If I Google something as far as like my health, if I feel off or something, you can't just go in there. You're like a Google diagnosis is not the same as going to be treated at a clinic or going to see a professional, right? So I think it's kind of like that same thing as where it might not be all the way wrong. And sometimes I would argue that it is because, like I said, professionally using it, I have asked for information. I have asked for information, about technical things within specific industries, right? In my consulting work. And it give me like totally off information or inaccurate information, out of date information. And that was up to me to determine because again, kind of getting comfortable in using AI, you'll go to it, take the information and straight run with it. But in doing that, I have definitely made mistakes and seen AI make straight up mistakes in the information it presents.
Okay, because they got something called AI hallucination, where sometimes you ask the AI for something and it just tell you anything, then it might give you a reference, and when you go click on the link to check the reference, it's not even a real reference. It's just
Mm-hmm.
something that they put to make you feel good because, like she said, AI does have an agenda. It's programmed to keep you engaged, just like social media is programmed. So it's
Yep.
going to create what's called an echo chamber. If you're not conscious and fully aware of what you're doing,
Mhm.
AI is just going to tell you everything you want to hear. So you sit there and stay talking to it.
Yep.
And so now that we got the personal situation out of the way, so you can use it to question regular stuff, but watch out for the conspiracy theories and even the regular stuff. It might be engaging.
Mhm.
So what about your professional life? How do you use AI in your professional life? How does that?
So by day, I am a project manager and I work in architecture and construction. So I work again as a consultant, and in that space, I do a lot of research on a day to day using AI. Right? I'm researching different I'm researching different processes, right, and how to actually complete my work, as well as I'm researching different ways for me to more efficiently do my work. Now, there's another side outside of research where I'm actually using AI to help me complete tasks and organize things. So that may look like using AI to help me formulate emails, correspondences, um, maybe like reports and things like that, as far as formatting it, structuring it, and making it professional looking. I like to challenge myself a lot of times, well, all times really, we're using AI to always let AI that I'm putting out come from an original thought. So even if I am using it to create an email, I type an email from my own brain and then let it structure that in a professional way, maybe fixing its grammar, fixing its formatting and things like that. But I try not to just relate or depend solely on AI to come up with emails and correspondences from scratch, because I think it's important that I still have a level of humanness and genuineness in my interaction.
Okay, so basically you use AI on a professional level to structure and organize your data,
Hmm.
and then also research information that you need in this
Right,
format.
right.
So have you come across any hiccups using AI in business?
Yes, indeed. Let me tell you, when it comes to, so on the correspondence side, again, this is why you can't like solely rely on AI, because it, first of all, it will start to like deplete your own skills and abilities if you just totally relying on it. So for example, like I said, with correspondences and emails, it's been times where I ask it to maybe produce an email, whether I did put an original thought or I'm just like on the move quick and I'm just like, I just need to respond to this email in a way that is professional, in a way that is firm, but um, still in my tone or using my vernacular and things like that. And it just totally spits out something that is not aligned with what the vision I had. Or I can ask it to, create correspondences where it actually, I'm asking it to pull information maybe from the internet or its different sources, and it pulls incorrect information or information that is off topic or not what I'm looking for. So I've seen hiccups in that way. I've also seen it, like you said, sometimes produce links that don't work. And these are things I'm saying sometimes, but this stuff actually often happens. As well as just like when it comes to more important tasks, as far as maybe things that are dealing with transactions, so money transactions. I always like to pride myself on being thorough in how I'm formulating correspondences in that way, because I don't want to just put something on paper and send it to a client and it be, asking for money in a way that is not aligned, or, just totally off. So to answer your question, yes, I run into a lot of hiccups, and that's more on the correspondence side. But even with my research too, is like inaccuracies all the time, or just not the information I'm looking like. And I've learned that it is a give and take. Sometimes I have to go, it might give me something, I'm like, okay, no, that's not correct. This, get, put it back in that. Sometimes, oftentimes it formats things incorrectly, whether it's on Word or PowerPoint or whatever. So the answer is simple: yes, 100%.
So wow, so as much as AI help you, it can trip you up too if you're not careful, you're not paying attention, that's all you're on.
Right.
So that's deep. So now, you being the owner of the wellness playground, how does AI play a part in wellness and health?
So I would like to answer that kind of like leading off of what we just love, right? So I talked about how I used it in my professional life, more so in the corporate sense, right? For my quote unquote day job. But when it comes to the wellness playground, I also use it to help me in my marketing efforts and my marketing strategy as well. So using it on the back end to help me actually create routines and systems so where I can actually hold myself accountable to being consistent when I post and researching the best ways to communicate to my audience to get my desired outcome, but also in actually formulating the flyers and the visuals that I'm putting out too. So I might ask it to help me formulate presentations or just give me ideas so that I can build upon them as far as the things that I'm putting out with the Wellness Playground. And like the different events that we throw with the Wellness Playground, I'm using AI a lot of times to help me research different spots and venues and parks and places that I can host and hold these events. And so that leads us into how AI and wellness is connected, right? Your career, your passion, your livelihood is a large part of your wellness. And so I've listed some examples of how I use AI to feed those things, but also in my personal, physical, spiritual, and emotional well being, I use AI as a tool. And I do it in a lot of different ways, so I'll try and be as simple as possible. But it kind of reflects how I just said I use in my professional life, right, to answer questions that I may have surrounding my health and wellness or different topics that I become curious about surrounding that, but also to actually like kind of keep along and track my progress. So I talk to AI in a sense almost like it's a friend, but I don't take on that mentality as if it's my friend. I'm using it to benefit me in the end, right? So I'm sharing details, limited details. I don't go super in depth, but at the same time, I'm not afraid to go in depth because it's nothing that AI can really use against me. Like I just take on that mentality and mindset, and that's what I choose to believe. And it took me a while to actually get there to feel comfortable to share information, but I do use it in a sense of helping me to kind of track my process and pivot and make suggestions in where and when I should pivot along the way.
So you use AI for questions as far as spiritual and wellness.
Yeah.
So again, has it ever tripped you up when using it in that capacity?
Okay. I would say, let me think about that because I want to say no because when I'm asking it questions like that, I am coming from a very grounded place, meaning that I'm not asking AI questions that I feel like I need a definite answer to that will solve a definite problem. If anything, I'm using it as like a second opinion. So if I ask it something about spirituality in a researching context, then I might take it like, at face value and just be like, okay, say for instance, if I'm asking it about the history of religions or if I'm asking about, definitions to different topics that might come up, regarding my spirituality when it comes to, um, yeah. But at the same time, I'm not asking it like, what should I do for it to tell me you need to do this and then I do it.
So what do you ask?
Even if I do ask it like based on this information, what do you think is the best course of action? I'm not taking that and just being like, okay, I'm gonna do what AI tell me. I use it as perspective, right, outside of myself. But I also think it's important to not just rely on AI for those things, which we'll talk about. So again, using it as one of the tools. So if you're looking for an example of what I might ask it, let's see.
Like it's your friend.
Yeah, like I would definitely ask AI questions like it's my friend, but I know
Yeah.
it's not straight up my friend. An example I would say, okay, for example, so I have been applying to a lot of corporate jobs, which I kind of took a break from in a different space, but this is in a recent past. I was applying to a lot of different corporate jobs and I was going on interviews, doing great interviews, getting second interviews, but I wasn't pushing through to get these jobs. So naturally, again, my faith wasn't tested, but I was starting to get a little frustrated in the navigation and the process of it. I went to AI with this, right? I'm like, AI, I'm, preparing myself for these interviews. I'm doing these interviews, but I'm just not seeming to be able to make it to the point of being hired. And I'm asking AI, like, based on information I already fed it about me navigating this space of, finding a job, quote unquote, what do you think is the best course of action? AI is using the information that I fed it based on my goals, based on my desires, based on the work that I do on a day to day basis, based on the capacity that it thinks that I have. Because again, it is not me. But I'm using this information to ask it direct questions of what is a suggestion for what I should do next. AI then outputs different strategies that I can use, right? So one of the strategies looks like me continuing to apply for these jobs. Of course, it's gonna feed your ego and reassure you like you're on the right track and things like that. Again, thank you, but taking it with a grain of salt. Gives me another strategy. Well, you can pivot based on being into wellness and you being an entrepreneur. You can put some of your energy here. And again, this is information that I'm helping it come to these conclusions because I'm feeding it, right? Giving me strategy. So strategy A, strategy B, strategy C. Or sometimes if it'll just give you one strategy. Now that is up to me to discern and decipher at that point. And from that, I don't just say, okay, well, I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna do that because AI is telling me. I do it because I feel aligned with
No, that's like a question for some professional stuff. I'm talking about a personal friend question, like, hey friend, I know job and
it.
make
Okay.
stuff. We're talking about something that you tell a friend that you wouldn't really tell everybody, somebody you would know, but you tell an AI like a good friend.
I have used AI to navigate a relationship before. I'm not gonna lie. I have used it to navigate the end of a relationship, I would say. And in that, I fed it, or yeah, like essentially fed it a message that I received, right? And I'm like, this is the message I received. I want to respond in a way that is not abrasive, but it's firm with this goal in mind, yada yada. And it's gonna output to me like a message. Now, like I said, because I have the mindset I have towards AI, I'm not just about to copy and paste that to a friend or to anybody that I'm really connected to because I feel like it just doesn't sit well with me to just straight up send AI, especially like in a super personal context like that. But I have used messages like that or advice from doing things like that to guide me in my interactions moving from that point.
So you basically just like to check your options with AI.
Yeah, I like to use it as a second opinion, as like a consultant, as a resource, but I am very intentional on not letting it replace my mind because it's actually easier to do that than you might think. And it's easy for me to say it, but to actually practice it is also like a challenge sometimes because it's easy to just input something and boom, boom, boom. You know what I'm saying? But to me, like I said, I like to base everything I do on authenticity and being genuine. I like that to translate not only in my personal life but also my professional life. And I'm not always perfect with it, but that is always my intent and always my goal. Especially when it comes to personal matters, I don't just straight up copy paste.
So don't just copy and paste the AI. Always be authentic with your own
I think
judgment and guidance.
I people could do what they want. I would probably recommend against it, especially. So I think it depends on the nature of the communication, because, like I said, in a more professional sense, like a lot of the things, contracts, agreements, handbooks, a lot of that stuff, this day and age is created by AI. But I think when it comes to things where it's not as corporate, it's not as technical, it's not as by the book, you definitely should
Put a human feel
put a
on it.
human feel on it.
Also, so in the
Right.
professional aspect, you copy and paste. Personal, you want to keep it
And
human.
like I said, grain of salt, because even with copy and pasting, errors is highly likely. And also, like, two, getting in that habit of just copy and pasting, you might not understand what you're putting out. So even if you're going to do that, read before you just send something off because you might run into errors. It might not be aligned with what you're really trying to express. And you might end up sending something off to somebody and they ask you a question about it and you don't know how to answer it, which could put you in a bad spot because you just straight up relying on AI to do it for you.
Okay, so you just can't rely on AI. You always got to use your own judgment and concern.
Yep.
So what do you say to people that's in a relationship, a whole full-blown relationship with AI? Some people don't got married to the AI.
Man, look,
Don't let the cat get your tongue now.
it don't got my tongue. I'm just trying to see what's the best way forward because yeah, I don't stand by that at the end of the day. Like I really do. I'm big on to each their own, but I think that if you're gonna have a relationship with a robot, you just cannot pretend like you're having a relationship with anything other than a robot. And a robot is again chat, AI, all these different things is technology that derives from man. So I mean, they might have people out there that's enjoying their life and their relationship with their AI. Godspeed to y'all. It's not something that I would involve myself with or like um promote anybody else to do because I think it's strange and I think that it might present some issues in the long run.
Okay. So now, saying that, you got to look at the psychological and spiritual ramifications behind AI.
Hmm.
Because in this society, we deal with a lot of MK Ultra mind control programming through media, through movies, through music, through food that you eat. So now with AI, it's another one of these tools that's being placed upon the public and the masses to influence programming and control.
Mm.
So now, how does AI relate to God and spirituality? Is there any type of connection there, or how do you see that?
Definitely. And I feel like this kind of culminates like the different things that we're saying about not letting AI totally replace your own judgment. Because coming from that Christian standpoint, y'all know I was raised in a church. We're made in the image of God, right? Like in the image and likeness of God, which means that our own natural ability, makeup, and the way that we are designed is so that we can be well, so that we can thrive throughout this human experience. Meaning, you have everything you need. Now, experiences, history, background, energy, all these things gonna come into play at how things are flowing in your life or the point that you might start or the mindset that you might have, the limitations even that you may have. But I do believe that it's in us to be able to access that infinite knowledge straight from God to be used as a vessel for God to flow through us, right? If I'm replacing God with AI, a programming that's created by human beings, probably the 1% that don't have our best interest at heart, or whoever out there typing, creating it. I don't, like I said, I ain't even gonna pretend like I know how it works. But just from my experience with it and my idea of it, I think that that's when you get into that dangerous territory of letting it think for you, of letting it be an end off, like be end off, for you and your conclusions that you're coming to and the mindsets that you're having, and also in depleting you of your natural life force energy, your natural processing abilities, your natural critical thinking skills, problem solving skills, and natural curiosity in a sense too. I think that you
Let's
know.
be clear, first of all
Hmm.
technology comes from the military first.
Hmm.
Everything from the radio to the cell phone to the internet to social media to AI, it all starts in the military first. So they tell you that Mark Zuckerberg and Elon Musk are these brilliant people that just came up, but that's not the case. With the Epstein files coming out, you see that there's a lot of secret societies, and a lot of people are subjected to satanic ritual abuse, so that they can be controlled and put in places of power, in positions of power. So people like Mark Zuckerberg and Elon Musk, that they are cloned to be controlled in position of power. They're groomed children and then uh, paid for by the government, by CIA, by government agencies to be the proxy, to be the front runner for these technologies because you wouldn't use social media and all these different technologies if you realize that it's owned by the government. Because you'd be realizing that, okay, cell phone, iPhone, that's the government. You see what I'm saying? So you wouldn't buy the iPhone, you wouldn't buy Samsung, and then get on social media, Facebook, put your whole life on there, and do it, Instagram. You realize it's all the government, just from different channels. You know what I'm saying?
Mm.
The AT&T, T-Mobile, all of these are government-owned companies. You
Mm.
see what I'm saying? When you're dealing with the stock market, all of the money, you see that it all traced back to what's called the military-industrial complex. They're the ones that come out with the technology. They're the ones that release it strictly to the population. So the stuff that we get in the mainstream population is always 30 to 50 years old. So what we call an AI, that's old. They've been using AI. What they call it cloning and CRISPR, that's old. They've been cloning since the 40s. All this stuff that they're telling us with the quantum computing and all of this stuff is old. So just to be clear, all technology comes from government. So who's behind AI? Government. Who's behind social media? Government. Who's behind your cell phone? Government. So now, with that being said, let's ask the question again: how does AI relate to God and spirituality?
How does AI relate to God and spirituality? I mean, that's a broad question. I think that if I'm speaking to what I see happening with AI and how it relates to God and spirituality, because it's hard to just say how it relates overarchingly. Because, like I said, I could give like straight
How it relates
examples.
to you? You go to God, you go to church, and you think about AI.
No, like I don't. To me, it's not even really a comparison there. Like I said, you can use AI to better understand topics and subjects around spirituality, but AI does not come into play when it comes to my relationship with God, with how I'm connecting with God. For example, I'm not AI is not present when I'm in prayer, but you can use AI to say, okay, with some practical ways that I can express myself and communicate with nature. And it might tell you, oh, get out in nature or do this sort of ritual. Or many people who practice this and this religion, but I'm not like, it's not interfering with my personal connection with God.
And what about when you're out in nature and stuff? You think about AI when you're trying to connect to nature and get out in nature?
No, I'm not thinking about AI. AI is not present. I have AI in its place. Like it doesn't cross that boundary for me. And I really don't see how it would, but I know that's not to say that people out there are doing it. So
So basically, we got to leave AI, personal, professional, research, analytical type of thing.
I think that's best for your own mental health and wellness in the sense of like we said, keeping your mind sharp, not relying on something that's not you, yet alone not even another human being. And like the way we say it's kind of like getting a little complicated even in my brain thinking about it, but it's the same thing of just not needing external validation or not looking outside of yourself for a lot of things. You could say that with another person. If I'm always another person got to be there when I eat, when I sleep, when I go to the bathroom to answer my questions on how to what I should eat, like every detail, that's the issue because I'm not even using my God given abilities to be able to like experience and live fully. You know what I'm saying? Like at that point, what you really living for? You know what I'm saying? The validation of somebody else to be under the control of somebody else. So it's the same thing with AI. You know,
Okay. So now, what do you think about some people saying that actually AI is the Antichrist? And then we have other people from religious perspectives are saying that AI is a medium to allow demons to communicate into this dimension from the unseen realm. Because the Bible tells us that after the flood,
mm-hmm.
the demons were left bodiless because their original bodies, giant bodies, were an abomination from the watchers having sex with daughters of men and creating Nephilim, giants. So when the Nephilim were destroyed in the flood, they weren't allowed to reincarnate, meaning that they weren't allowed to have another body.
Mm-hmm.
So now that's what we call the demons, the wayward spirits of these destroyed Nephilim.
Mm-hmm.
Now they're saying that they have been working for man subconsciously, and man going into different ceremonies and certain rituals to contact them, have gave them this quote unquote technology so that they can ultimately build a reality to where now they can manifest themselves in our dimension, their dimension.
I mean, that's an interesting take, honestly. And like I said, I do not be quick to just say, "Oh, excuse me," because that don't sound right. You know, it's not real. At the end of the day, as we said in the last episode, I don't focus on defining spirituality straight up because to me, that's when you get lost in the sauce trying to prove the unseen. You know what I'm saying? And try to put words and try to limit what spirituality is. And so hearing things like that, like I said, to somebody like me and the way my brain processes information and my understanding of life and energy and spirituality, it really don't sound at all. But at the same time, even in a more simplified way, or maybe to somebody who's not so open minded in that sense, I think that is plausible. You know what I'm saying? Even if we're not saying, okay, these foreign beings or demons, or because again, across different religions, across different mindsets and ways of thinking, you're gonna call these same things different things. So it might be demons to you, it might be negative energy, it might be bad vibes. Like all of it's the same thing. You know what I'm saying? So in that sense, if I'm looking at it from that perspective, going in depth, shit, sound crazy, but might be true. You know what I'm saying? Or you could think of it in a way of like, okay, man making this, right? If we're talking about an imperfect human being that got God knows what type of experiences, God knows what type of agenda, actually typing this, coding in, or whatever, however they do, it's still a vessel for unsavory energy, right? Demons, negative energy, bad vibes, or stuff that feeds a certain narrative that may not be aligned or that's not aligned with what somebody like me might believe, you know? So I think it's plausible for me, makes sense. I mean, but yeah, just on a simplified version, yeah. Like
So now, with that being said, the government has already killed two sentient AIs that they created that started thinking for themselves. They started speaking in a language that humans couldn't understand. And then when it got to the point that they didn't know what it was doing, they had to kill it. And then they have a reported case to where an AI was about to be canceled, so a new model could be used. And once the AI realized that the creator was going to cancel it, it went into its emails and found out that the creator was having an affair. It blackmailed the creator all by itself. This is the AI software program. It blackmailed the creator to not end it for the upgrade, or else it was going to reveal this affair. So now, what do you say about AI using its own software to blackmail people and to do its own bidding? Because some AI, they have what's called AI agents now, where they can call for you, they can email people for you, they can even go into your bank account, purchase things for you. But some of them have gone rogue.
mm,
Some of them have really started their own online gambling situation to make money on their own. Some of them have gone as far as to pay people to do stuff that they can't do because they don't have a body, so that they can enforce their agenda. Then they've made their own social media website where it's just AI bots allowed on social media itself. What do you say to this part of the AI uh, uh, technology culminating to the point where it's starting to act out by itself and do things on its own?
see, that's like every robot movie that you done seen. Like the robots having independent thinking and taking over the world, and that's what it's like. I'm not even gonna say it's a fear because at this point, if it's gonna do it, it's gonna do it. We already this deep in it. Like I said, the way my brain works, is it plausible that like this can be an even bigger issue than the example that you've already given? Because I don't truly keep up with it like that. But to hear this, it's like interesting, but it's not surprising. You know what I'm saying? Just because I feel like when you play with fire, I mean, being burnt is just a byproduct of it in the sense of like you're creating these extreme technologies to replace human beings and the things that we're doing and the ways that we're interacting and trying to mimic that in a way that is like copying, pasting, replicating it, or cloning it, or whatever the case. So just like we say, even in this processing of normal things, of course it's gonna have faults. It's gonna have inaccuracies because we as human, the people that's creating and developing this is not perfect, even though perfection don't exist. But you know what I'm saying? Like we, it's trial and error. Like nobody really have the right answers. So when it comes to AI thinking for itself, I think it is a pretty dangerous territory to be in. Like you said, from some of those examples, even just in the sense of like it slipping into how our government is operated in politics, not just like on the societal psychological level, but also like on the technical level of like right now we're in a war. Like you know what I'm saying? I don't know what part AI plays in decisions surrounding that, but I'm sure that it comes into play even just in like the means of war, like the weaponry and things like that. I'm sure that technology is a big part of that. And that is all very
AI
destructive
is actually
things.
being in charge of war. It has war strategy, tells them where to attack, the most valuable assets that they could attack to disenfranchise the country that they're at war with, things
Yeah,
like that. So AI is ahead of the army right now.
yeah, I'm sure. So that's why I'm like, I think it's definitely. crosses can cross over into dangerous territory. I guess what could bring a little comfort and what brings me comfort is that outside of, I mean, like, I think war is serious, especially when it comes to human life because I value it. And I think we should all value it. But even when it comes to, um, just, I guess, lesser serious ways of AI thinking for itself, it is you can't take none of this material stuff with you. So when you're saying like integrating it into your bank account and it having a gambling problem, like that's all stuff I would want to not happen. But I wouldn't say like let that totally deter you from even trying your hand at different AIs because it can be helpful in senses. And I think that like it can help you to strategize. It can help you to understand different perspectives outside of your own. But I think that again, when you play with fire, you just know the possibility of getting burnt. Like you can't negate that fact.
So now, with all the things we said about AI, we know that the world is going to move forward, whether we like it or not. The world is moving forward with AI. No matter how many movies they put out, like the Terminator, like iRobot, like the Matrix, that show you that the AI get a body and just kill everybody for no reason just because they not a person. They still is headstrong on making AI, making the robots. So with all that being said, and with AI moving forward and they still moving forward and the future coming, the money is going to change. Everything's changing over to fit the new AI digital lifestyle because it's all about being able to monitor everything, being able to tokenize everything. When I say tokenize, I mean that if you can't buy the whole house for $100,000, they can tokenize the house and I can buy a portion of it for 50 cents because the house is a token now. So, you don't own the house for 50 cents, but you can have a token as a membership ownership of the house for the total property value. And so it's just like how they do Bitcoin. One Bitcoin might be $60,000, but the fact that it's tokenized, you can buy a little 50 cents of dollar worth of Bitcoin. You don't have a whole Bitcoin, but you have a token that shows that you have a percentage of the whole Bitcoin value. So they're trying to make everything like that. They're trying to make the government like that, where instead of you vote, they tokenize the government by the party that you paid for because this is the AI way. And if you have questions or doubts about the future or how AI is going to impact the future of society, look at China. Because again, they tell us that all of the countries are separate and they have war. But we all know all the countries are working together. How do we know this? Because they have the UN, which they come together. Then we have the Antarctic Treaty, which these countries have all come together to agree that nobody can go to Antarctica. So if they are blocking out Antarctica from the rest of the world, and they create a UN and different organizations to control the world, that shows that they're working together. Because when COVID-19 came, it wasn't just in one part of the world; it was worldwide agenda. All the countries worked together. No country said, "I'm gonna go to war if you try to bring COVID-19." Actually, all the countries were complicit, showing that all heads of state worked together. So now they're trying to make the one world government with AI. So they couldn't put it together until they got the people to be less godly, because the Bible tells you about the world order and everything. The Bible already warns you. That's why you do all this demonic rituals, everything. The Super Bowl got to have a satanic ceremony. The Emmys got to have a satanic ceremony. The Grammys, everything they do, got to do some type of demon ritual in it. Because now they're trying to bring on that microchip, that beast system, where you need the AI, you got to have a microchip to access the AI. You got to have a microchip inside the house. You got to have a microchip to go to the store and buy something. Like the Bible tell you, you're not going to be able to sell or trade or buy without the chip. So now the movie's been telling us this. The Bible has already prophesied, and these folks still headstrong, making this AI and moving forward, digitizing everything. We got it. So where did this leave us at? Where did this leave us at as people, black people, in this transition between the world we know as natural and organic to the world that's being created digital, virtual, and artificial AI?
So I look at things through the holistic perspective, meaning I'm not condemning any one thing, or I'm not ruling out any topic, right? So how it's like we have on one end AI, then we have on another hand like just natural human practices. I think that I was coming initially when I was first introduced to AI. I was like, oh, this is foreign, this is weird. I'm not about to get involved, but I know that it's something that is better to understand it because it is very prevalent in our society right now, and it's only going to probably continue to grow in that. So I think it's something that you should involve yourself with to the extent of understanding it, to the extent of even interacting it if that's what you want to do, interacting with it if that's what you want to do, but with um, the mindset of not letting it replace your own natural God given abilities and capabilities. Now, with that, I would say that. Wait, can you say the question again? I'm sorry.
Well, with them steady being headstrong, still making the AI, with all the movies telling us that, they're going to kill us. And
Mm-hmm.
the Bible telling us that it's a mark of the beast, and once you take it, you no longer go to the sign in the heaven. But yet, people still making it. And then we know that this AI is going to bring about a new world order. It's going to bring
Mm-hmm.
about a one world order. It's going to bring about a one world currency. And us as black people living in this time, we have to transition from the world that we knew it,
Mm-hmm.
the Lord made
Mm-hmm.
organic, into this man-made
Okay.
artificial world now.
Right.
So where did that leave us at a people?
Right. So
What we were doing?
that's what I was saying about my holistic lens, right? So again, not condemning AI to the point of saying, "Oh, I'm not gonna have nothing to do with it," because I think it's here. I know it's here, and it's only gonna grow. So you might as well understand it. Again, understanding it could take you interacting with it to some extent with limits, right? With limits and how you're letting it um guide you and the role that you're letting it have in your life. Now, the other side of that, what I pride myself on with expressing and learning and putting out there not only with my personal endeavors but also with the wellness playground and things like Pay It For a podcast is to emphasize and build upon the natural practices that are going to keep us no matter what happens, right? Because at the end of the day, whether AI is here or not, I still have to eat every day. I still need access to fresh water. I still need community because as much as we think we don't need people, you do need people. That's how we're designed. I still need to breathe. I still need my health. You know what I'm saying? And I mean, material stuff is second nature to that as far as your finances, the roof over your head, and things like that. But that's still very important necessities for your survival. So when it comes to holistically having balance there, understanding AI, but I put most of my energy, most of my emphasis into natural practices, right? Natural practices surrounding spirituality, how I'm communicating with God, praying every day. As simple as that. My physical health, right? Making sure that even if the natural order of things right now or the world as we know it was to be altered, I still like to educate myself on how to grow food, right? How to harvest food, what foods to eat, what foods work with my body, trying to pour into myself. When it comes to my mental health, right? Even when I'm interacting with AI, not letting it mess up my mental health, but more so doing things on a physical level to pour into my mind, right? So for example, when I'm driving, I can become very dependent on a GPS, which in a sense is AI. I like to challenge myself to remember important destinations because if AI or the GPS was to ever go down, I realized recently when my phone glitched that I would not know how to navigate, especially living in a new city. So at least when it comes to the grocery stores around me, trusted family members around me, my friends, places that I would need to get to, I have to have some understanding of how to do that. And this might sound like preparing for doomsday or whatever the case. I'm not like a hyper like doomsday prepper, but I think it is important to be prepared in case of anything. And preparation is always going to funnel into survival skills. And survival skills doesn't have to look like, you know what I'm saying? Yeah, doomsday prep, but it's really just knowing how to live without depending on a system, depending on somebody else, depending on a government, which we actually are very dependent on. If you even think about how you get your food, how you get your water, and some of it is kind of inevitable, but I think a lot of it is so much information out there to where you can still like start where you are and learn from there.
So basically, what I'm getting from that is that it's time to start creating independent, organic spaces where we're not condemning AI and say we're not going to deal with it, but we're not going to let use of what the Lord gave us organically. We're still going to entertain that and do
Right.
that too.
Right. And I think that I know that I'm actually a living like example of that, especially with the wellness playground. So for instance, I use AI to help me with my business strategy when it comes to the wellness playground. Even like I said, with strategies and ideas surrounding, okay, where should I host this event? Or what's the, even ideas surrounding events? Like I don't think it's a problem with that. But at the end of the day, at the actual events, AI is not there. Right? It's us getting our hands dirty. We have an April event that's going to be centered around gardening. When we do that, we're going to be learning how to grow our own food. We're going to learn about how important it is to have ownership of our food systems in our communities in case we ever have to rely on that. And even if we don't have to rely on that, it's still good for us to have ownership in things like that and to have that ability to do so. So, and again, that translates to the different events I have. When it comes to the walk that we just did out here, it's like I use AI to help me create the language that I put on the flyer, lighthearted. I don't have to think and do that for myself. I don't have to hire a marketing company to do that. But at the end of the day, when we was out there was no AI present. Yeah, I took some videos and made a video out of that just to promote what we're doing. But that's real human interaction, and that's the promotion in itself. That is the value. It's not the AI because AI is helpful. It helps me get to that point, but it's not necessary and it's not like it doesn't consume.
So it sounds
It's
like
not
you're
the
saying that
foundation.
AI is not real life. It's just basically online work. Real life, you got to do real life.
Yeah, I mean, would you consider like Google a human? Like, I mean, like you know what I'm saying?
But what if they had a body? What if they had one of the about bodies right
That ain't
beside them?
nobody to me. Like, and that's why I say again, to each their own. Everybody
But
gonna have
what if they
different
got because
ideas.
you know they got the synthetic skin? What if they got looking like a real human?
That is not no soul. That is not nobody. That is not no human being. That is not. And again, they getting real savvy with this technology. They with the embryos and I don't know
Well,
what they got going on. I'm telling y'all, I don't even try to involve myself in all that because it's good to know, have a little touch of information. If that's your thing, go deep dive. But for me, I'm not wasting my energy on trying to understand what them people doing. I'm understanding it to the point of I know it exists, right? I like to hear perspectives. I like to hear people who are into those things pass that knowledge on, which again, you also have to, the same way we're talking about AI, you have to check your sources with things. Even when it comes to social media, you have to do your due diligence. If you're not going to go in depth and research something, then don't just be passing stuff on like it's a fact. If you don't know, cool, you don't know. If you heard it from here and you don't know it's true, say that when you pass it on. Don't, you know what I'm saying? Even internalize these things that you just hearing or because it's programming and that's you easily falling for the trap instead of using your God given Abdul Oblongata, to process things.
right. Well, I think that's a pretty good message for our community in reference to AI and moving forward in this digital era. Don't let it overwhelm you or make you scared. Just remember what the Lord taught you.
Mm-hmm.
So KK Cutie Pie, you talking about those good wellness playground events and stuff. Tell people where they can find you at the wellness playground.
Yes, so y'all can follow us on Instagram at the Wellness Playground underscore. That's where you'll find all of the latest event information. Here, the goal is to do an event per month for the remainder of this year. So, like I said, in March we did a walk, which was really really nice. We did it along the Chattahoochee River. And this April, we're partnering with Everybody Eats ATL, which is a black-owned farm in a
It's
community.
ATL.
Yes, sir. And we're gonna be getting out there. They host volunteer sessions. I know for this month they're doing two different Saturdays. So on that second Saturday, which is April the 18th, we're going out there with them, inviting the family, the kids, whoever. All is welcome. It's free 99. Come out and again have fun. We're gonna get our hands dirty. You work as much as you want to, but the importance of it is for us to learn about ownership, owning our food system, understanding how these systems work. Because if we ever become dependent, you know what I'm saying? This knowledge is going to be the thing that carries us and actually feeds our community.
So we're not just talking about AI and just, she actually showing you how she's actually being organic in the sense that she's not condemning AI, but she knows that it's important to do the things that the Lord put in place for us to survive as well.
Yes.
And then she's using her platforms and her organizations to help others do that too in the platform. So that's a perfect example of how you can not try to fight the AI, but still live your life as a godly person, and then the AI assist you versus you just diving headstrong into the AI, and now AI is totally controlling your steps.
Right.
And so the check guide, you know where to reach me at, Check Guide Consult. One of my main topics in 21 Steps to Financial Freedom and Generational Wealth is charity. So that event that she's talking about with the wellness playground is a charitable event. So in reference to how this can help you financially, is that if you're going through a hard time financially right now, you get out there and participate in this charitable event, you hit the ground, what that's going to do is that's going to release your stress and anxiety. You're going to forget about your money woes and financial woes. And what that does is when it takes that stress and anxiety off you, now that puts your mind and your body and your spirit back in the frequency of abundance. So now instead of you being in a low vibration, and the money is just flowing over you, now you've risen back up to the vibration where the money, you can catch it, you can receive it now. And then you're going to learn new skills because maybe you didn't know about farming, maybe you didn't know about how to grow a certain crop, but you're going to learn about participating. You're going to meet new people. It's a good networking opportunity. Where yeah, you're going out there to volunteer, but you come to the right person, you could land a job. Mm-hmm. And those type of jobs are the best when you land through network. And that was something that AI might not be able to tell you. Stop trying to find a job traditionally through the application route, and try to find a job through the non-traditional way by using somebody that you know, right, that you hired on.
And that's the best way. Spiritually, that's the message that I received from God in that whole me navigating that.
That's what Check Guide do. That's what we do at the Check Guide. So you can find us at checkguideconsult.com. You know, on all the social media platforms, we Check Guide. And then we got a new podcast coming out soon. New episode. You can check out our podcast on YouTube. Check Guide Kara page. And this is how we put it together to pay it forward. As far as what I bring with the Check Guide, what she brings with the Wellness Playground, putting that together in an effort to educate our community and keep our community abreast on all things moving forward. Because we got a lot of work to do between Epstein files being released, and the AI, and the world changing over to the virtual reality, digital world, and just the stuff that we are lacking as a community, our family structure, how we represent ourselves as women and men, black men, women, and community, and stuff like that. But we really got a lot of stuff to work on and clean up in the eyes of the Lord in reference to how we've been conducting ourselves, how we need to move into the future, especially in reference to the way that they're doing technology and all of the evilness that's being revealed.
Yep.
So we're gonna sign off. Check out checking in and checking out. KK Cutie Pie.
Yes, y'all don't forget to like, follow, comment, subscribe. Leave your cash app in the comment section because we will be choosing somebody from this video to donate $20 to. So y'all watch the video through. You only can hear it if you stay to the end of this video. Drop y'all cash apps and we paying it forward.
Paying it forward. So whoever cash app that we picked. Y'all didn't put no cash app on the last one.
Y'all better get in on it.
Y'all didn't get no money this time. Y'all could have got some money this time. So now the next one, make sure you drop your cash app. And then we're gonna pay it forward to one lucky subscriber.
Yep. So next time, bye y'all.
Pay it forward.